Hello guys, how you doing? It's Sev here again, or Dead Mode, and we are doing some OnAir and Microsoft Flight Sim again. What's going to be happening today? Well, you'll see the OnAir screen is loaded up, and what we are doing is some shorter trips from Ketchikan to Prince Rupert. So they're not far at all. I am loaded right up. As you can see, I've got some good weight here, about 2,850 pounds worth of cargo and block fuel of 86 gallons. And we are going to be got a couple of legs to do to Prince Rupert. I've got one to do to Stuart, which we sort of did yesterday as well. And then we'll look and see what else we've got to do. But I want to try and do some shorter hops here, get a few more takeoffs and landings and so on and so forth. But let me just show you the plan as it stands. So if I bring up, get that off the screen and get it to the correct screen so that I can then transfer across. So in SkyVector, this is what we've got going on. So we're going from PAKT to CYPR. We're flying the Ketchikan 6 departure, which gets us to the Annette Island VOR. We're then going to fly along Victor 309 to Agpal, which is here. Pop off until we get to Elville, and that will pretty much get us in line for the ILS down to runway 13 at Prince Rupert. Now, one thing I haven't checked actually is the altitude we need to fly along this Victor Airway, which isn't specified. That's interesting. Does that give me free rein to fly whatever I like? Maybe it does. I don't honestly know. But I'll fly at I don't know. We'll figure it out in a second. But that's the route we're doing, and I do have that loaded up in Little Nav Map. Now I noticed on Little Nav Map you can't see when I rewatched some of my stream from yesterday. You can't see when I right-click on something. Now I'll explain why that is. It's because unfortunately Streamlabs OBS will only take display capture sources from one source. So what that means is the two monitors of the three that I have attached that are connected to my that's my friend on Discord. I see, good stuff. So yeah, basically my main monitor that runs Flight Sim, the second monitor that at the moment is showing SkyVector. Those two are yeah, that was it. Yeah, so those two monitors, those two big main 1080p monitors, they are on my NVIDIA GPU, my 1080 Ti, and then my tiny little old works rubbish monitor that's running on a VGA lead with a HDMI adapter. That's running on that's plugged directly into my motherboard, which has like an internal little basic display adapter on there. Streamlabs OBS can't pick that little onboard display adapter up. So that means the only way of capturing little nav map here is with a window capture. But for some reason, window capture doesn't detect right clicks. So if I right click on PAKT now, I've got a big drop down there on the screen, and as far as I can tell, it's not something that pops up on stream. So I'm sorry about that, guys, but at least you can see the main bulk of the information that's going on there. So with regards to little nav map, we've got the route plugged in. So what I did is I dialed in Ketchikan and Prince Rupert, just put those in as a departure and arrivals. I selected, so I can go to departure procedures over here for Ketchikan, and I chose the Ketchikan 6 instrument departure. So that's what that is. Proceed to altitude, course to fit. So there, I've got to fly at 5,000 feet. I'll double check that on the charts in a second. But yeah, so I chose that, which added all of this stuff to Annette Island. And then I did the same for Prince Rupert. I selected the arrival departures, and we're flying the ILS 13, and the transition is Agpal. So I just selected that and inserted that, and it's added Agpal and then Elville and all the rest of it in. So it's got everything loaded in there as well. And as you can see down here on the elevation profile, thankfully this time we do have some terrain, which is great. Our safe altitude is 2,000 feet, but we do have some restrictions, as you can see here. So we need to be at 2,000 there, and it looks like we need to be at 5,000 there. So I'm actually going to put 5,000 initially as our altitude. We are IFR today, and we are flying eastbound, so 5,000 would be an acceptable altitude. So we'll probably fly at 5,000. There's no reason not to, so that's what we'll do. And yeah, you can see we've got some terrain showing there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to preemptively zoom in on these here so that we've got a nice little that's modifying the thing. There we go, and there we go. So this is going to be nicely zoomed in, so we should see pretty easily our profile as we go up and down, so we'll be able to see us very easily going along where we need to be. Our climb has been calculated in little nav map as being where are we? Climb about 1,200 feet a minute at 125 knots. That's what it's calculated at, so that's fine. And our descent, we'll call it 500 at 130 knots as well. So that's what our TOC and TOD are calculated at. So that's what we're going to be doing basically. Now over here, Navigraph charts, let's just double check. I've got two tabs open. So this is the departure Ketchikan 6 from Ketchikan. So yes, we climb runway heading of 116 degrees. Then at or above 2000, we turn to 190, at which point we should intercept the 147 degree radial to Annette Island. Now I can't see those altitudes that it's saying. So I can definitely see at or above there, but we're supposed to be, according to little nav map, we're supposed to be at where are we? Flight plan at Annette Island. We're supposed to be. This is the problem with doing it this way now, is I can't see. There's to climb. There's Annette Island. Yeah, we're supposed to be at 5,000 feet. It's showing a hard constraint in there. Yeah, at. So I don't know how that is possible because it doesn't show it here. Unless I'm missing something. Trees beginning, takeoff restrictions. No. Here we go. Climb heading 116 to 2000, then proceed right turn to 5000 on heading 190. Okay, so at or above 2000, we continue climbing to 5000 there. On heading 190 to intercept the ANN radial 327, which is 147 as well. So that's fine. That's what we're going to be doing. So that makes sense. That's where it's written down. So we'll get that plugged into our nav radios as well. Should we do this GPS or should we do it nav radios? Let's do it nav radios. That'll be fun. So that's going to get us to there. This is Agpal to Elville here. Now, how can we calculate the distances between the two there? So let's get SkyVector back up. Get rid of the flight plan here. We know what we're doing. So it's showing me that it's the 119 radial. Now let's look at the low chart. I believe that's saying the same thing, isn't it? Let me move this out of the way. Yes, 119. So 119, Agpal. Actually, let's get the flight plan up. 80 nautical miles. Are these DMEs here? These distances? Yeah, they must be. It's 6 nautical miles and 14. That's 20 there. So yeah, so I'm assuming that would be. Oh, yes, there we go. Right, so 34 nautical miles to Tunbug and 42 nautical miles. So when we're at 42 DME, I can turn off there to 090 until we intercept the ILS. That's how we'll fly it with our instruments. Someone can let me know if I'm wrong there, but that's essentially what we're going to do. So we'll take off, heading 116, and then at 2,000 feet we will turn 190, continuing to climb out to 5,000 until we intercept the 147 radial to Annette Island. We'll intercept that, and at Annette Island we'll fly the 119 out. We'll stay on that at 5,000 feet until 42 DME away. We will then turn 090, and in 6 miles we should intercept the ILS at Prince Rupert, which will be this here. Now I assume we'll intercept the localizer, but at 6 nautical miles either way I should be 14 DME away, but it's right, yeah, I see, that could be a pain in the ass. I see. Yeah, that could be a pain. Yeah, I know what you mean. So my friend's playing Medieval Dynasty. Yeah, he's playing Medieval Dynasty, which is a sort of survival kingdom create. It's like, imagine Kingdom Come Deliverance crossed with some kind of survival game. That's what he's playing. Yes, so that's what we're going to do. So let's get everything set up. So we can start the flight tracking. We do have the plane loaded in the sim. So before we do that, though, I'm going to put my 2845 of weight in plane. So let me just add 2845 plus my pilot weight, 2845 plus 190, it's 3035. So I want 3035 here. We're not going to get it. Yeah, because we can take more payload than the physical plane can land. But I'll just fill the plane up there, and then let's go start tracking here. That should set the fuel, which it has. It's also put the weight down, interestingly, to 2526. Weird. Okay, I'm just going to leave it, because if that's what OnAir is doing, I don't know why it's doing that. But there you go. So it's set everything in anyway. So we are all good there. Bear with me 1 second, because I'm just going to attach my track clip to my headset so I can use Track IR. That's the track clip on, and it is sending and receiving. Then what I'm going to do is we are going to start getting this baby fired up and get everything all programmed in. Let me recenter Track IR, because that's not what we want. There we go. So let's come down here, and I'm going to get some lights on straight off the bat. Avionics need to come right down, typically. There we go. That'll be fine for that. So we'll go battery on, standby power on as well. We'll get the engines fired up. So prop full forward, get the fuel on. And then we are going to, let's just double check, we need avionics 1 on, so we got some instruments. Everything all looks good there. It's fine, let's go beacon light on. Fuel booster on, ignition on, starter on. And we get 12% NG, we're going to go to low idle. There's 12% low idle. And then at 52%, we'll turn the starter off, and that should turn the starter into a generator. Now this is looking good though, temps wise. NG is there. So starter off, fuel boost to normal, ignition to normal, and standby power off. Get the navs on at this point, and avionics +2 on. So the plane's good to go. We are all on. Good stuff. So we need a net island initially in our nav 1. So I'm just going to turn track IR off a second just so I can use preset camera views just to make this a little bit easier. So nav 1 we're going to want to be 117.1. That should be a net island. So we've got that up on VOR1, and our initial course is going to be the 147. Pretty easy to go this way. Oh, hello. What's happening? I don't know what's going on with the cameras, and I accidentally clicked something. 147, so let's keep going. 147, so that's the radial we're intercepting. We're initially going to fly 116, and then we're going to need to fly 190. So I'm actually going to set the heading bug to 190, because I can fly the runway heading absolutely fine. So I can see that as a number. I'll be able to fly 116 there, but then at least I've got this preset so I can see exactly what I need to hit there. So that's that. Then in the standby for nav 1, we'll get the ILS. Oh, what's going on with the camera views? Stop. It seems that whatever I do with my mouse, it's playing with the camera views. That's weird. Never seen that before. Let's stop that from happening then. So we need the ILS Prince Rupert, which is 132 degrees and 109.7. So we need 109.7 in the standby, ready to go. I might also put, if I click between two, 109.7 in nav 2, and the course to 132, wasn't it? So just so I've got it referenced, so I can see at least see the localizer. If I need to just stay on the other nav aid initially, it's just a little back up. So 132 degrees. Oh, I've gone past it. 132. There we go. Back to VOR1, course 147. Yeah, everything's looking good there. Now the DME, we're going to want it to nav 1 initially, but then we're going to need to switch that over to nav 2, so we can see when we are 14 DME away. So once we've turned AgPal, so if I just show you on here, once we've turned to AgPal at 42 DME from Annette Island, we'll turn that, it's saying 068 there. which is interesting because here it's telling us 090. That's interesting. 132 there is correct. 132. Why that's saying 068, I don't know. Because even if you look here, it looks like 090 is the correct. That's got to be wrong. I'm going to fly 090. I'm going to follow what SkyVector's saying. That seems to be correct. Let's see. Prince Rupert here. Does that have... Ketchikan's got chance, but Prince Rupert doesn't on here. Okay. Yeah, so we'll know by having... So once we've turned at Agpal, and we're on this 6-7 mile stretch to intercept at Elville here, I will switch the DME readout to read from nav 2, which will be this. Although to be fair, we could also at that point just switch over to nav 1 over to the ILS. So maybe I won't. Maybe we won't need to switch to the DME. That's fine. We'll see how we go. We got the options. So yeah, it just gives us some potential things that we can do there. Anyway, we won't worry about that. So let's not worry about you. PFD, I always like the wind on option 1. There's no wind data at the moment, but that would show us both the headwind and crosswind components. Can I do bearing 1 on nav 2? That would be interesting. So we can have a little line turn up if we do start intercepting the localizer on nav 2. Prince Rupert, I can see it on here, so I'll know we're good to switch over. That's a good idea. So I think that's the nav aids and everything all tuned in, good to go. Next, we need to set our altitude to 5,000 here, because we are climbing straight out to 5,000. And vertical speed, I always just set it initially to 1,500 feet a minute, but yeah, that'll do. Flight directors on. Oh, they are on, it's just a graphical glitch. Okay. Radios I'm just going to do on the fly, shall I? Because I'm not doing VATSIM or anything like that, so we'll just do the radios on the fly. But normally what I'd tune in here is I would tune ground and tower on standby of COM 1. COM 2 I'd have the ATIS for Ketchikan, which I suppose we could do that at least anyway, couldn't we? Yeah, should we try to do that somewhat properly? Because what I would do is I'd have COM 2 tuned to the ATIS or AWOS or whatever's here. Then I'd have ground and tower on COM 1. And then I'd probably have on COM 2 standby the weather for Prince Rupert. And once we've tuned tower, I'd probably tune approach on standby on COM 1 and get ready to flick to that. So that's what I'd normally do. But I think we're just going to, because it's just in-game on this, and I'm not really actually going to even bother with the IFR in here because it just really doesn't work. We'll tune COM 2, however. Is there no... Okay, that's interesting. Have we not got... We've got an AWOS on 128575. Oh, that's Prince Rupert. Let's... What have we got for Ketchikan? 13445. Let's see if that picks anything up. Where's COM 2? doesn't seem to be picking anything up, and the normal Ketchikan CTAF is 123.6. They've got it as Ketchikan ground here on 122.8. Do they have a? I'm just having a little look here on. Just having a little look on the charts here to see if there's anything about weather. CTAF. No, it's an uncontrolled airport CTAF frequency, so that's interesting. I could have sworn Ketchikan would have been a towered airport, but there you go. Apparently, it isn't. There's a CTAF frequency. I am surprised. We're taking off runway Ketchikan departure. Scowl departure that way. But yeah, Ketchikan CTAF. Okay, well that's fine. In the game there's a tower and ground, but there's not in real life. But that's absolutely fine. So back to the sim then. Let's just get a METAR from. Actually, let's get a METAR from Sky Vector just to see what we're dealing with. So we've got a weather station here giving us 350 at 7 knots. This was 11:53, so an hour ago. No, I've got a more accurate one here. 12:53, so just literally 4 minutes ago. So let's see if I refresh Sky Vector. That's probably going to come up. No, it's still the old one. That's fine. Yeah, I've got 340 at 9, 10 statute miles, 3008 on the altimeter. In fact, the airport elevation is 92 feet, so I can always use that to work out where we should be on here. So should be at 92 feet. About there, 3011. Now, if I press B, see if it's putting us there. No. Although, yeah, we're lower than the actual airfield at the moment, aren't we? So, yeah, we're probably not actually at that feet. So, interesting. But I've got 3008 on my thing, so on my METAR that I'm picking up. So that's what we'll go with. So let's tune ground, and we are departing to the south. They're making us take off from a completely different runway, which is annoying. I'm actually going to ignore that. Main reason being is because oh, I just realised I don't have simulated sounds on. There we go. Sorry, guys. You've been watching patiently for half an hour and there's not been any stream audio from the game. How silly. How silly. Well, you haven't really missed anything from the game, just the start-up noises. Everything else is still the same. Yes, so I'm going to ignore what they've just told me on the radio, which you may not have heard, which, by the way, was that we are to taxi and hold short of runway 29. Which I'm not going to do. There's no wind here, so I'm going to take off from 11. This would in real world be a CTAF frequency, so I can choose my runway, and so I'm going to ignore that completely. We'll probably get told off, but I'm expecting that. So that's what we're going to do. God, I can't believe I left my audio on mute for the game. That's so silly. But yes, so hopefully everything makes sense. We are ready to go. I'm not putting anything in the GPS. That's not going to happen. It's all entirely off the nav aids, so off the VOR. So yeah, I think we're good to go. So with that in mind, we're about to taxi out, so let's bypass on the inertial separator. Gonna flash my taxi lights a few times. Let them know we're going. Release the parking brake. And then we will be off. And also re-enable track IR. So we're going to taxi out on Bravo, Charlie and then Bravo. And there's no way to choose a different runway for takeoff and to ask for another one or anything like that, but there you go. So we're flying runway heading until 2,000 feet, at which point we're turning 190 until we intercept that radial, and then we're going to fly to Annette Island. Get a stage of flaps down. Flaps set for takeoff. Holding short there, let's get the parking brakes on a second. I'm just going to set the rudder trim. I'm actually going to put it at 1.4 just to see what that's like, see if that just helps the takeoff roll a little bit. Good to go. Of course I can't... Well...
Ketchikan Tower and 983 SL 4711 ready at runway 29 south departure.
I'm not, I'm ready at 11.
983 SL 4711 cleared for takeoff runway 29 departure to the south approved.
Interesting, so they're giving us clearance, but we're clearly at the wrong end of the runway, so that's funny.
983 SL 4711.
Okay, so parking brakes off, taxis off. Oh, landing lights aren't working. Interesting. Don't know why the landing lights aren't working. Oh, we'll have taxi lights on instead then. That's weird. Never had that before.
There you go, Ghost.
Interesting, okay. We'll have to reset the flight or reset the plane when we get to our destination. Yeah, the switches are working, but they're not actually changing any lights, so very interesting. Another little bug with the simulator. All the other lights are working though, so that's good. Not anything to do with the power. Nope, don't know what it is. Okay. So I go ignition on. Everything else is looking good. We're all set there. Trim's all set. We are good to go. So set and take off power now. Takeoff power is set. Looking for 70 knots. Remember, we're quite heavy this flight. There's 70, rotate. And we're up.
Airborne time logged.
So we'll keep flying the runway heading, 116. Flaps up.
And 983 SL4711 continue for south departure. I will contact you next when you leave my airspace.
Ooh, I can build 16 buildings soon.
Knowledge indication.
Ketchikan Tower and 983 SL4711 continue for south departure.
They're just trying to hold the airspeed at about sort of 115, something like that. Need to come around to the right a lot more. There we go. 1,200 feet, so it's 2,000 we're looking for. Everything else is looking good at the moment. 1,600. There's 2,000. We can now turn 190.
And 983 SL4711, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved. Ketchikan Tower and 983 SL4711, frequency change.
Get not to balloon too much on the climb. Just getting that turned to 190 so we can intercept that radial. There's 190. Now what I actually want to do here is turn down some of these lights. Oop, don't want to go off course. Radio is coming in, so we're getting there. Let's start turning towards it. Try and keep us climbing up here, get to 5,000 feet. So getting near now, so I'm just going to drop the RPM back a bit. And I'm going to pull some power. That should help us level off on the climb a little bit here. Let the plane accelerate. Let's turn to 147 now, because we're pretty much on the radial. Correcting the rudder trim to stop us side slipping. And there we go. Yeah, about 8 and a bit miles away. Just check our power settings and our prop, make sure everything's all good there. That should be fine. Whoop, make sure we're not going off course too much. Fly a slight bank now because where we're getting closer to the just got CPU started then. I was just wondering if I was going to hear the bug happen with the switches that I often suffer. Yeah, because we're getting closer to the VOR, we need to make larger changes. I can see in the synthetic vision as well a net island airfield down there, and I know the VOR is pretty much over that, so I'm just going to aim straight for it now. If I remember right, the next course we need to fly is the 119. So let's dial that in now. I'm just going to verify that on Navigraph charts. Sorry, on SkyVector. Yeah, the 119. I'm just going to fly this heading until that radial comes on in. Check power settings. Yeah, about 2,000 pounds on the torque, roughly 1750 on the prop RPM. That's all good. Still trying to get the aircraft trimmed nicely. I'm at 5100, so I need to just descend a little bit if I can. It's relatively clear out from what I can see. See, very dark, being night time. And pull back a little bit on that left rudder trim as well, I think. On that right rudder trim, sorry. We're climbing a little bit again, so just gotta watch that. We have passed the VOR now, so shortly we should see the yes, there's the radial coming in. So we'll now turn to 119. Which is there or thereabouts. Overshot the turn a little bit, so we'll just try and recorrect. That's it, we fly this for 42 miles now. Going to turn the brightnesses of those displays down. That's better. We seem to be descending for some reason, so I'm just going to regain the altitude we just lost there. I am hand flying this, I'm not using the autopilot at all here. Outside air temperature is 1 degree, so I am just going to flick us on some de-icing stuff just as a preemptive measure. Lovely stuff, successful so far. I don't want standby instruments that bright, and I definitely don't want the panel lights to be that bright either. There we go. Still descending like crazy, so let's regain that altitude. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with those landing lights. Very odd. There is a lighting mod being run at the moment though. It's integral as part of the G1000 package. I can't remember the name of the mod. The creator's name begins with U, I believe. But yeah, that's essentially what we're running. So maybe if that's been affected somehow. But I will restart the plane when we... when we get to Prince Rupert, just reload the plane, and hopefully that'll be fine. Is that an 8-knot crosswind? I can't see what that's... No, 0 knots. Okay, so we can pretty much just fly 119. There, 11 miles out at the moment. Cheeky little sip of coffee. Whoa, watch my turning. Power settings, everything's still looking good there. Not much really to see. It is local time is very early. I make it probably 5:15 in the morning. Even though it is 2:15 here in the UK. It does look like there'll be good weather either way when the sun does come up. So just trying to hug this radial best I can. And flying here. Minor little adjustments to the yoke just to keep us on course and at altitude. Trim seems to be okay for now. So remember, 42 DME, we turn 090 and we switch over to standby nav 1, which will be IPR, which is the ILS for Prince Rupert. Intercept the localizer, and then we're going to have a go at hand flying the glide slope. That's going to be fun because I am terrible at it. So we'll see how we get on. So I'm going to set the heading bug to 090 preemptively, just so I know the turn I've got to make ahead of time. So I have submitted a detailed bug report, including clips to my last stream where the bug manifested itself a couple of times. So hopefully that's given Asobo some good information. They find it useful. I'd love for the bug to be fixed. It does make a few of the aircrafts a bit broken at times. With luck, it's just panel lights that get changed and things in the Caravan, but I have lost the autopilot and I have lost the engines at one point. With the Mooney, I find that I tend to lose the avionics stack. That usually goes, which isn't ideal. You don't want to be losing avionics. And a lot of these things are often unrecoverable. They require a reload in order to regain those systems again. And quite often I fly the Mooney and only partial, you know, I've lost like nav 2 and com 2 or something like that, or the ADF doesn't work, or other systems aren't on that primary nav systems are on, so you're okay with that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not a good bug. It needs to be fixed, definitely. So hopefully what I've sent in is going to be helpful to them. So we're at just over 26 miles away from Annette. About halfway there-ish. Just over. Before we have to turn off to... Before we arrive at Agpal, we have to turn off. I've just lost Navigraph charts on my left, so I'm just going to re-sign into that. And I'm going to need to reload the chart that I was using, which is annoying. CYPR approaches ILS runway 13. Okay, oh, now we're miles off course. There's probably not a lot for you to see in this video. I should probably refrain from doing so many night flights, but I completely forget whenever I booted up Flight Simulator. I thought, oh, these little short hops will be quite good to do hand flown and to stream, and then I forget that the actual flight is at night. So when we reload the sim, I'll turn on daylight. We'll do that for the return flight, just to make everything else look prettier. And then when we start getting towards sunrise in Alaska for real, we'll put the time back on real world time. I'll do that, but unfortunately I can't do that mid-flight, otherwise OnAir will throw a hissy fit. So just leave it for now. 33 miles. It's at this point that I wish I had more coffee, so I'm going to have to get one of those when we land. Well, looks like a runway over there, and I'm assuming that's probably Prince Rupert. That's very bright. So we're also supposed to start descending at about 500 feet a minute now. We need to be about 2,500 feet halfway down the localizer. But yeah, we're about 2 miles out from top of descent, so that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to put the altitude select down to 2,500. The vertical speed I want at 500 feet a minute, and we'll go for that any second. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the power a little bit. Just pitch the aircraft down a bit. Coming up to Agpal as well, we're at 38.3. Get back on that radial. Trying to get on that radial before we have to turn, but I'm probably not going to be able to make it. So we'll just turn 090 now. We're pretty much there, to be fair. 41.1. By turning 090, we're going to intercept the radial right at the point where we probably need to turn 090. So the radial's coming in. It's coming in. Yeah, see, we're back on the radial right at 42 nautical miles, so there we go. So that is a net done with. Now I'm not going to flick off of a net until I see a bearing coming for the localizer here. Ah, there we go. Can you see it? We've got a little blue arrow for the localizer there. So if I... we should have 109.7. Oh, I'm switching the wrong one. There we go. 109.7. There's the localizer. There's the localizer coming in, so I'm going to just slowly get a little bit of a turn on, just so that we can slowly sweep our way round and intercept the localizer. Course should be 132. Level out a bit there. I can see the runway as well, so we do have visual, so that helps. So we can concentrate a little bit more on the glide slope. Now I'm probably going to descend us a little bit faster here because I seem to be a little bit off profile according to little nav map there, as you can see. So let's get down to 800 feet a minute. .200 degrees on the heading for, well, I've set runway heading for now, but it's 200 degrees for a missed approach. Oh, let's get this aircraft down. Alright, glide slope is there, we are under it at the moment. I'm going to start slowing the plane down a little bit. Let's just slow the rate of descent down as well. Let's get properly on this localizer. We'll just try and intercept the glide slope the best we can. I'm trying my best just looking at the instruments at the minute. I'm trying not to look outside. So we are underneath the glide slope here. So now I'm going to ignore little nav map. Way off the localizer now. Just trying to get everything sorted. Let's try and intercept that glide slope, which for a 90 knot approach is going to be about 400 feet a minute. So I'm going to set this 400 feet a minute, but at the minute I'm just going to focus on getting the glide slope in. So when the glide slope is in view, let's get a stage of flaps in. Woo, balloon there, should have anticipated that. And there's the glide slope, so let's get on our 400 feet a minute flight director, and that should help us. There, I'm just going to drop the throttle down because we need to try and get to 80 knots. So I'm flying by looking entirely at the instruments at the minute. I'm not actually looking at the runway. .80 knots is coming. We're a little bit above the glide slope, so let's drop it down a bit. We're back on the localizer, so let's get back on there. Make sure we don't drift too much to the left. There's the glide slope again. Just trying to get that speed dialed in. So I'm a little bit left according to the localizer there, so let's get back on. Just a touch below the glide slope, but that's fine. DME shows us about 5 miles out. Should probably request landing, completely forgot about that, so let's quickly do that. Prince Rupert, CYR traffic, select a runway, oh god, trying to do this as well as stay on the localizer. We're landing on runway 13, full stop, on final.
Charlie Yankee Papa Romeo traffic and 983 SL 4711 is on final runway 13 to land.
So we're a little bit below glide slope, a little bit to the right now. So a little burst of power there, keeps us around the 80 knot mark. Now I can drop the power back off again, let's get us back onto 132 degrees. And we're on the glide slope, everything's looking good. Let's go final stage of flaps. Trying to pitch down and work the throttle to kind of stay on the glide slope, but also increase our airspeed because we want to be closer to 80 knots. We're way off the glide slope now, so let's just let ourselves climb up a bit. We're off to the left according to the needle, so let's fly 134 for a second or two. Way off the glide slope, so let's bring her up. To the right, so let's bring her over. Getting nearer to the glide slope again. Well, now I can safely say I have a visual on the runway, so I'm going to fly visually at this stage. Pretty much on the glide slope, slightly off the localizer, so that's fine.
500.
All looking good. Gently bringing the power back as I also pull back on the yoke.
Landing time logged. Landed at Charlie Yankee Papa
Let the nose come
Romeo,
down gently.
Prince Rupert.
There we go, let's get some reverses in. Should get the speed down to 30 or just get it off the ticker tape. It's all good, let's go flaps up. And then let's quickly go over here. Let's get our taxi diagram so we can see where we're going. And yes, we do have to turn right the way around. So that's what we're going to do. get the ignition off now. Completely forgot to turn that off during normal flight, but there you go. But I'm going to go low idle. And we're just, you can see on the diagram there, we're just working our way up towards, we'll pull off at taxiway Bravo and we'll be good. Still annoying about the landing lights, but there you go. Right, taxiway Bravo is coming up, so I'm just going to take some of the speed off. They come around, landings and taxis. Sorry, landings and strobes are off. I'm going to report clear of the runway.
Charlie Yankee Papa Romeo traffic and 983 SL 4711 is clear of the runway.
So, that wasn't a bad flight at all. It's quite the workload to sort of try and manage all of that as you're flying, to keep an eye on all those things and to, you know, safely be able to. But you know, it worked. I did okay. I haven't hand flown an ILS for a little while now, so I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. Certainly good fun to do, but it is an incredibly high workload compared to a visual approach, and also compared to just flying an ILS approach with an autopilot, you know. But it's an important skill to have, to be able to fly those by hand. I don't actually know which way he wants me to go here. He's telling me to keep going straight forward, so I will. I'm just going to stop there. He's not telling me to stop anywhere, so let's parking brakes on. Let's flip down in. Let's just get some floodlights on the go. Oh, inertial separate and go back to normal now. Okay, so at least we've got some lights in here to see what we're doing. That is all good. Everything's good there. Let's go. Oh no, not fuel boost on. Let's go.
Engine off, time logged.
Cut off, feather,
End of flight.
fuel boost
Registered
off.
in OnAir company.
Taxi lights and navs off. And the prop stops, beacon light off as well. Shut the fuel off there. Fuel boost pump is off. Everything else is fine there. Avionics 1 and 2 off. Wish the sim didn't do that. Rudder trim, interestingly, was set back to 0 by the end of the flight. There you go. And yeah, battery off. So that's the flight. I'm going to go back to the main menu in Flight Sim because, of course, we need to reload the plane because we didn't have any lights, or landing lights at least. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. Let's go to OnAir. So flight was done there. We got some dollar. Good stuff. Now, I don't actually know. I should have checked if there's fuel at Prince Rupert because otherwise we're going to be in a spot of bother trying to get back. Oh, should have more than enough fuel to get back, but not block fuel. So we'll wait for all that to unload. And yeah, so that's done. Let's go to little nav map now, and let's just check the performance profile. See if any of these figures are worth pumping in and merging. So yeah, I can merge taxi fuel. That's happy with that. Yeah, we'll merge those climbing figures. That's fine. The cruise is about the same, to be honest. Merge those, and the descent. Yeah, we'll merge those two together. Yeah, that all looks good. We'll merge those. That's good. Happy with that. And we will save the aircraft performance file. Reset performance. We're actually going to reset everything for a new flight. Okay. Don't want to save the flight. Oh, I probably should have saved the flight plan because we'll probably fly that on the way back. Again. Whoopsie. And we will go map. And, or is it view? No, it is map. Delete aircraft trail. There we go. The little nav map is all set for another trip. Now, let's see. Oh, we're still unloading all of those goods. We've got about half a minute. Well, I'm going to take a break here, guys, I think, and get myself another drink and things like that. And I will be back very, very shortly. So, yeah, see you in a second.